Welcome, folks. I've got my good friend Ken Hackathorn and Paul Howe here with me today on Gun Guys on the Wilson Combat YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about the SIG P365 Wilson customized pistol. And this pistol comes in several different variations. You can get it with the smaller grip, larger grip, get it for various optics, or one of them dedicated to iron sights, which I personally prefer. What do you guys think about this program? What do you think, Ken?
Well, I think we all understand that this was one of the big home runs of Wilson Combat product-wise over the last few years. Started with the 320, but the 365, it really took off. And I tell everybody, hey, if you're using a 320 or a 365, you need to try the grip module. And the kicker is, that price is so reasonable that if you buy it and you decide I don't like it, you're not out of much money. On the other side, I've not talked to anybody that's actually put one on the gun that didn't say it's the best thing they ever did to the gun. So I think it's an interesting approach. I don't currently own a 365. Everybody asks me, well, why not? And it's real simple. One, my lifestyle doesn't require a concealment gun anymore. I'm past that. And I live in a part of America where I could walk around with a 50 caliber Desert Eagle concealed. Two things I can tell you is, one, if you live in some parts of America, people don't pay attention to what you've got. I live in an area where if you are carrying a gun, people don't get excited. Unless maybe in the wintertime when the Californians come to visit Idaho, they sometimes get their panties in a wad when they see anybody with a gun. But the other thing is, when you're an old geezer, they don't pay attention to you, so it wouldn't matter what you've got. But, so I don't consider a pocket rocket a requirement in my life. I know that the one that I probably would be a fan of, and it's coming, actually they've got a version of the macro out now, which is a long frame, 17 shot and longer XL slide. That's soon going to be followed by even longer slide and barrel, which will probably be, pushing pretty close to 5 inches. So in essence, they're going to make a slimline, small duty-sized gun, if you will. But my problem is I've got a big hand and we're a size 11 glove. Little guns and big hands don't work real well. I end up my pinky's hanging off. When you draw it, or worst case, you pull it out of a pocket in a hurry. For big hands and little guns are not a good combination. It's like little hands and big guns. So, but as a package, let's face it, they hit this one out of the park. This was SIG's success story in the sense of sales. This thing has sold unbelievably. And the key to that is every other gun company in the world is trying to copy this thing. So the 365s are quite accurate for little guns. They shoot really well. They get great triggers. So I know a whole bunch of people that have them and love them. And I've not met one person that tried the Wilson Combat grip module and didn't say it was an improvement. Everybody is a fan of it. And to be honest with you, the actual complete Wilson Combat gun now, and if I understand correctly, you guys buy like the raw slide from Sig Sauer?
Yeah, it has.
And then do your own machining and everything?
Yeah.
And this is a DLC finish?
Yes, DLC on the slide.
And that's a great little gun. For people who have to have a deep concealment gun, their lifestyle requires it, I think most everybody will tell you this is a really hard gun to pass up.
Yeah, and they're so light. You can carry one all day, and I mean, you don't even. It's almost like you forget you got a gun on your hip. That's one thing I like about it.
And I like the fact if I were to have one, I would definitely go to the larger grip frame, because with this I can actually get a full grip on it. So that would make it a lot more shootable for me. Paul, have you got any experience with the SIG 365?
Oh, you bet. I've owned one, and I'm kind of like you. I have a certain model I carry, a weapon, but we train teachers, teacher staff in firearms for schools, ISDs, church security, and so we're running in a whole gamut of people that are looking for a smaller concealable weapon for 8 to 10 hours on the job. And so this is a lot what they're driving to. And so we kind of push them towards certain concealed holsters and very low vis, but some of these schools that we train have 8 to 10 guardians, both male and female. So you're talking about the different hand sizes and this and that. I'm in the same boat with you. Is when I grab the weapon platform and I reach through, I use more trigger finger. So it hits my hand on the other side. Now I can shoot it, but I end up backing off trigger, which is not my normal shooting grip. But when we take a new shooter and we fit them to guns, and this is going to be a game changer in the winter. And so it gives them a little bit more, because you have men with small hands, women with small hands, you know, and some women with large hands, and then
So a lot of men with small hands.
yeah. So you have to be able to custom fit, because grip is huge. It affects every shot, impacts every shot. So flat, high round count, simple, rugged, and again, you talk about weight. You know, school teachers, you know, at least 8 hours usually, and some get there early, pull security early. Some are at the end of the day when students are getting on buses, so they're carrying it a long day every day. And so we want to get them into good platforms, and it's accurate, reliable, it shoots. So it's one of those things that it's a win, and having the adjustable grip, yes, it's great. So
What do you guys think of good old proven irons, you know, like I'm a big fan of, as opposed to the various dot sights? That's kind of the latest craze.
I'm going to be really gentle with this, because I know it inflames the whole world. I'm not Yestertech, I'm still watching this. I have case histories of police shootings up close and at distance. They've got to put 3,000 rounds in. So are they going to do that? Is that what they're going to put in an academy, a police officer, or a new officer coming in a transition? Generally going to shoot, we've talked 250, 300 rounds, and they say I'm good. The problem is, under high stress, they go back to their normal point and they can't find a dot. So that's big. It's a second piece of maintenance on the gun. That irons you can look at, they work. There's a lot of tricks from the old days. The irons right running it above your notch, different things, and you can still make good hits. But the problem with this is now you have maintenance. And so you have screws, you have Loctite. We had 3 red dots go through an instructor course, one of them crapped out, so 33%. And it came loose during, you know, standards. So what happens is they either have to get another gun, or if they take it and fix it. So it requires another level of maintenance. Can the casual shooter maintain that? And then are they going to dry fire? That's the big thing in the world. So we know the answers to the test, but here's the deal. Don't knock it. You want to use it, use it. I'm like you, I'm going to probably go to the grave shooting irons, and that's just the way it is.
What do you think, Ken?
Well, as you know, I did a video a year or so ago for Wilson Combat. It was called Red Dots Revisited. And as I predicted, the gun culture apparently has their share of woke people. And the snowflakes, some of them lost their mind when they watched that video. And I got MF'd all over the internet for what I said. I don't retract one word of it. What I said was I think a very balanced and realistic view. Red dot sights are not essential, even though other people tell you they are. They are not. If you want one and you're willing to put in the training time and the rounds to become proficient, great. Mm-hmm. The problem is only a small percentage of people in the gun culture or in the gun world will do that. I call them 1%ers. Those are the people that will go out and shoot, like you say, 3,000 rounds to get proficient. People say, oh, you can do it with dry fire. Bull. You cannot do it with dry fire. Anybody tells you that is
Because that's when you lose the dot, is during the recoil cycle.
Yeah, it's when the gun recoils.
Yeah.
When you have to shoot it strong hand and it recoils, or weak hand, when you're off balance, shooting around cover, there's a lot of issues. The problem is, people say, well, you don't like red dots. Actually, I got a bunch of them. I've been shooting one recently quite a bit because I want to know what they're really about. And what I've learned is, despite what people may want to tell you, it is perishable. Usually red dot is perishable. You've got to stay at it. So if you want to dedicate your time to it, you can become pretty proficient. But you're right, it's another maintenance issue with the gun. For people that are not gun guys, people who carry guns, the typical cop in America is not a shooter and not a gun guy. And saying, oh, I'm going to put a red dot on their gun and they're suddenly become proficient is a fallacy. And remember, as a former cop, and you can speak in that arena too, most cops regard guns as just another piece of kit they got to carry on their belt.
Yeah.
So they're not essential. If you want one, pick a good one. And remember, they're not created equal. Red dots are made by a lot of vendors. Most of the manufacturers, regardless of what it says on the side, are made in China or made in the Philippines And you might want to look into who owns the company in the Philippines. So buy a good one, and they're not inexpensive. You can spend the cost of a base 365 just for a good red dot. And then the interface mounting system is always a weak link. So people say, well, you're talking them down. No, if you want one, get one. Learn how to use it. But don't let anybody tell you it's essential. In the real world, people use handguns to defend themselves at either the distance, the width of a car, or the length of a car. And at those distances, there's no advantage to red dot. Sorry, I don't care who tells you, that's bogus.
Can I have an alibi right here? Just the extra point is, if you get a red dot, get backup iron sights and co-witness them. Simple as it is. Because if you can't find a red dot and it doesn't come on, you'll go right to your irons. But if you don't have them, or they're in a different plane, you're going to have issues, and you're going to be searching at close distance to make a shot. So you've got to think through this when you really do it. Don't have a problem with them. I'm in the same boat. We see them out there. I have instructors that shoot them, and they're my red dot experts, and we want you to bring them. If it fails on a flat range, it's not going to work on the street or in combat. Simple as it is. So work it out on a flat range, put your mileage in, and if it's either got to work or not work, and there's no gray area there.
Yeah. And I've reached a point, honestly, where I can shoot my red dot sighted pistol just as well as I can irons. There's hardly any difference. I compare the results, different drills, different distances. You know, at distances they're a little bit slightly better, but I've got enough astigmatism. I don't see a dot at distance now. I see a cluster of grapes.
Yeah.
So whether it's a fuzzy front sight or a real fuzzy dot, my shooting performance is pretty similar. So bottom line is, if you think it's important and you're willing to put in the time, they can probably be beneficial. In the real world, as far as saying, well, it allows me to shoot better at longer range. Yeah, they do, probably for most people. The question is, how important is that? You know, and before somebody says, well, you might have to make a shot on them all at 50 yards and whatever, that remember, you guys are confusing fantasy with reality, or as I call it, possibility versus probability. So you want a red dot, get one here. You know, it's no big deal. I'm like these two guys right here. I'll probably be carrying an iron-sighted gun until I can't see iron sights anymore. And you know, I'm 76. I'm wearing corrective lenses, and you know what? I can do just as well with an iron-sighted gun, particularly at the ranges I'm going to be using a pistol at, as I can a dot. So, for me, I don't see it as a huge advantage. Certainly not essential, but you know what? That's on you. That's my read.
Folks, check out the new 365. We've done, I think, some really nice work on it. The gun is not only a little bit more ergonomic than the factory SIG, but also it looks a lot nicer, and got some real nice side options to put on them, both for iron and the red dot stuff.
Hey Bill, I've got a question for you. I noticed some of these have a round trigger, some have a flat trigger. Tell me about the trigger options you guys provide for the 365.
Well, like you mentioned, you can get the, you know, either the rounded conventional trigger or the flat one that a lot of people like real well. And you can also get, you know, we do the trigger tuning on them, so you can get a real nice duty trigger on it, or you know, more of a competition, real light trigger on these guns.
Cool.
And once you put the light trigger on, they become a very shootable little gun.
Yes, they do.
Especially with this is the 12 round mag, you know, module. Becomes a very shootable little platform, you know, with a nice light trigger.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize on the trigger pull on stuff, the lighter the gun, the harder it is to shoot a heavy trigger pull, because you're exerting X amount of tension to pull the trigger, and then the light gun is that much easier to move around and disturb your point of aim because it is so light.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think we've all seen the case that little guns are harder to shoot well than big guns. We all understand that. It's one of the compromises you make for a more concealable or more comfortable gun to carry.
And we appreciate you watching the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.